Welcome back to another episode of the Two Point Turn podcast. This is our third episode, and in this podcast, we discuss movies, food, and sports. And in this episode, we're going to go through a list of top 10 movie franchises. And it's not our list, but we're going to sort of react to our positions on all of that, and then also add in other ones that we feel should have made the list, and obviously remove ones that shouldn't have been on that list. So
All
without
right.
further ado, let's
Yeah.
get started with the list.
Yeah. Our list is from ranker.com, the top 10 best action movie franchises. So yeah, like you said, we're going to go through each of them, see if they belong, what our thoughts are on it, and which ones we think should have made the list but didn't. Okay. At number 10, we're starting off with a really solid franchise, the Matrix franchise. I am a huge fan of the Matrix movie. It's the acting done by Keanu Reeves is amazing, and the whole plot, and it's just perfectly executed. I think the first Matrix is a perfectly executed film. I don't really know too much about the second and third movies, but the first Matrix was a perfect film to watch.
So I've read the books, but I have not actually watched these movies. And just assuming about how how every single movie ever that's based on a movie is sort of a just takes some snippets from the book and sometimes even goes off on a tangent and creates things from its own. I think it would have been all right. And again, using your take on the first one, I think it should have been all right. So again, I'm not gonna be upset with this. I like the books. The movies couldn't have been that terrible. Your opinion doesn't validate that. Your take doesn't validate that opinion. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna go with yeah. This is all right. I'd keep it around 10.
Yeah, oh yeah, sure. What's really interesting about The Matrix is that it talks about a fictional world where everything is simulated, but we're actually already living in a world like that with smartphones and computers and internet. We are literally living in The Matrix.
Yeah, that was sort of just a like a full on extension of the world we're in right now. And I
Yeah,
mean, who knows? Maybe that is the world we're in. We just don't. We just think we have control, or maybe we don't. But who
that's
knows?
kind of trippy. Yeah. All right, so number nine, we have Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. I've seen the first Mission Impossible movie, haven't seen the second, but I think Tom Cruise's acting was amazing. Stunts were really good, plot was good. Not bad, not bad.
I think this is almost criminally underrated. This should probably be top five, pushing top three, maybe yeah, maybe even top three. Because okay, it's not perfect. I wouldn't say it's number one because there are certain things like I think he was married to someone and his relationship with her was just so convoluted throughout like the seven or something movies that have been made so far that you never really understood what was happening with that. Otherwise, otherwise it was always like the stunts and the originality was good. And if you just look at if I had to like sum it into a sentence, it would always be Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise has to save the world or do something like that, and it was always the same thing. So you'd think watching that movie seven times would make it so boring, but the fact that all the movies are interesting in their own right, and they're able to come up with interesting plot lines and problems and obviously creative solutions to said problems is a major credit to the producers
All right, all right.
and the
But the greatest stunt in any Hollywood movie is when Tom Cruise jumps from one building to another, injures his doesn't do the stunt perfectly, injures his elbow, like twists it and continues it like
like
a
in real
cool guy.
life.
Yeah. No, it was, like he actually injured his foot during the stunt, but you probably couldn't tell because he continued with the stunt
But
anyways.
it wasn't scripted. He was doing the stunt and he hurt himself.
Yeah.
That's so odd because he's like 50 something. You'd think they'd have a stunt double or something, but I don't know. Well, credit to him, I
Uh,
guess.
uh, yeah. Okay. At number eight, we have Matt Damon in the Jason Bourne franchise. I don't know too much about the Jason Bourne franchise. I've seen the first one. It was pretty good. It was not bad. What are your thoughts on Jason Bourne?
So again, it's sort of like um a Mission Impossible type thing where Jason Bourne is Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. I just feel it's slightly like I just feel it's like a worse version. The acting's a bit worse. The plot lines aren't as interesting, and things of that nature. I mean, yeah, it's just a worse version of that. I don't think I've watched all the movies. I've seen like a few, and I think I saw like the first one in half sleep on the plane. But otherwise, yeah, my thoughts are mainly about just it's how it is.
So Mission Impossible should be ranked better than Jason Bourne.
Oh, without a doubt. Mission, I think
Okay.
actually, in terms of ranking, this I guess belongs around number 10 or like the bottom of the list. So
Oh,
it
okay.
being there is quite fair.
Okay. So at number seven, um, we have a film series, a little bit of fantasy, but it's still an action franchise, I guess. The Lord of the Rings. I've read the books, but I'm
How is
definitely
this
mu
in any way how is this in any I don't know. I'm sort of
yeah.
just debating the list itself. How is this this is completely like fictional type thing. This is not an action movie.
Yeah, I'm definitely more of a Harry Potter guy, but I've read The
I
Lord of
mean,
the Rings. It's not bad.
a simple rule that I guess I would use to say action versus fiction type thing is are there like an alien type thing, or do you go into space or do something? Like, is it set on Earth, and are there like supernatural forces and things like that? So I think if you looked at like, for example, like Marvel movies, for example, they really like toe the line on a lot of them. So things like I think Iron Man and those type of things were completely Earth based and all that. But then you have
Yeah.
entire movies like Thor, which are completely like they deal with magic and gods and things like that. So I think, anyways, I'm digressing. I just don't even feel this deserves to be on the list as it doesn't qualify.
Okay. Okay. I hear you. I hear you. Well, in that case, we'll move on. And number
What are
six,
your
one
thoughts?
of
Wait,
yeah,
what are your thoughts?
yeah, like I've read a couple of the books, haven't actually seen the movie. I haven't seen any of the movies. I like Harry Potter a lot better. And yeah, it doesn't seem like it would be in this list. It doesn't really seem appropriate.
Yeah, like if Harry Potter is in the list, I guess every movie in some ways has action. It's
Exactly.
just there's too many fictional elements. Like, yeah, it just doesn't seem realistic. I
All
mean, it's
right.
obviously not realistic.
Yeah. Well, now that we're talking about fictional elements, at number six, we have one of my favorite actors of all time, one of the governors of California, Mr. Universe winner. I think you know where we're going with. Next at on the list is The Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Um,
So,
I
uh,
mean, the first Terminator movie is like a classic. I like it a lot. I haven't seen any of the ones afterwards, but the first Terminator movie is great.
so I also have to agree. I mean, I was sort of scarred because I watched the movie at like 11 o'clock when I was like 9 years old. So it
Oh
wasn't
gosh.
the best choice of when I watched it, but when that happened, like obviously like looking back, I guess it was I can say it was a good movie, but it's the problem with making a franchise is if one movie is good and you decide to capitalize on that, you really have expectations to make the other ones good, and that's really difficult if you want to make a sequel and just keep adding movies to that. The real art is not in like getting it right the first time, or I guess to use a baseball analogy, the art isn't hitting a home run once; it's hitting one every game, or something like that, or every at bat or something. So I feel the ones after this that came out just weren't it. So I feel
Yeah.
they shouldn't. This thing should probably again be like back of the list, and
Yeah,
that too
probably
is
a little
being
bit
carried
lower.
just by the first one.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so good.
sure. Okay. So, number five. Listen, you're a huge fan of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and so am I. What do you think number five is?
Something with Andy Samberg, without a doubt.
No, let's go back to Jake Peralta.
Die
His
Hard.
Die
This
Hard.
should be
There you
like
go.
number two or number one.
Die Hard is really a
No,
great movie. Yeah.
come on. Like the thing I just talked about making like being able to hit in every single movie. I think the Die Hard movies did just that. Like the first one was good, the second one was good. They were all good. You couldn't say they slipped up and
Okay, okay, here's the
yeah.
thing. I kind of liked the old John McClane when Bruce Willis wasn't bald. I liked Die Hard 1, Die Hard 2, Die Hard 3, but I did not like the fourth or the fifth one that much. The first, second, and third were a lot simpler. I thought they were a lot better than four and five. But
Yeah, I
number
also thought
one
they
was
were
definitely
better,
the best.
but not like a lot better or something like a sizable. Like it's not where one was like amazing and the other was the others were unwatchable. Like, but yeah, there was a slight drop off in quality, but I don't think it was enough to like. I think most of them were still good. So
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
but
sure.
I think this one should be higher up,
Yeah,
should be
probably
bottom of the
definitely
top 10.
higher up. Okay,
Yeah,
now number four. This is probably one of the largest action movie franchises there
Fast and
is.
Furious.
Nope.
Oh, what is it?
James Bond.
Oh yeah, James Bond has to
Okay,
be.
yeah. So here's the thing. I like the old James Bond. My favorite James Bond was always Sean Connery. His movies, Doctor No, Russia, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger. I think those were all the best. I think when you got to the more recent ones, like like Spectre, it the plot lines just got so much more complicated and it's all emotional and stuff. The old James Bond was just so much simpler. Like he was the cool guy with the cool cars and the cool guns, staying in
I
the
have the exact
hotels.
opposite take.
What?
I think the emotion and the complexity makes it better than the Daniel Craig and all that one because like he seemed like a robot with that like all he would do is just like he was just like one average looking man and he would look the best, he would drive the fastest cars and he would just do all like and then he wouldn't like make mistakes or do anything like that. He just seemed like too perfect in the old ones, but then adding emotion and then especially things like sadness and all that and regret made it so much better because I don't know, it just made him feel more human and not like an agent that was a machine. Like it didn't make him feel like a drone.
Okay, okay. Well, that's quite interesting. That's quite interesting. Mhm. I guess that's true. They did incorporate a lot more elements into the more recent ones. But okay, sure. Do you think it should be higher, lower? I think it's pretty good at number four.
Or yeah, I think it's probably there. It's so large that like you'll have a bunch of hits and misses.
All right. So number three, Indiana Jones. Okay, here's my opinion on Indiana Jones. Number one, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Great movie. Um, number three, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Okay movie. Number four. No, actually, no. Last Crusade was very good. Last Crusade was very good. Number four, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Subpar. Oh my God. Number two, being Indian and watching Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is difficult. Am I
Why?
right?
That's one of the ones I haven't watched.
Okay, so here's the thing. First, they arrive in India during sometime in the 20th century, and when they come, the villagers they feed them uh, stuff like insects and and insects and worms and grass and stuff. Then they go to this kingdom where it's really fancy, and then they feed them like live snakes and scorpions and stuff like that. Oh my God. They have never been to India. They don't know what Indian food is, my man. It is
Yeah,
literally.
that's sort of
I think they
like
should have just taken out
I
Indiana
really,
Jones and the
I
Temple of
really don't
Doom
want to. I
and
really never want to
yeah,
use this term, but it's like cultural appropriation or
exactly.
like stealing from the culture, or like I don't even know
Yes.
what the precise term would be, but yeah, something along those lines.
All the other
Yes, I
movies were
definitely
awesome.
wouldn't like that. I feel the whole series is kind of overrated. I don't think the movies are as good, but it
Really?
sort of is like a classic. So like,
Okay.
I
Well, if they
I
took out
think
number two, it would have been a really good, it would have been like the best. I like everything
I
else,
don't
just not number two.
I think it's overrated, but still a classic. I think
Yeah.
this should be like number five, six, mid of the pack, mid pack, middle of
Okay.
the pack.
Okay. Okay. Now, number two. We have a film series. You've
Fast
watched
and Furious.
No, not Fast and the Furious. You've
Okay.
watched a couple of these movies. I've watched maybe like one or two.
Well,
It's Star Wars.
but Star Wars is fiction.
That's what I was thinking you would come back to
Completely
the whole
fiction.
like
Okay,
with the Lord of
if
the
you want
Rings.
to add if you want to add a lot, if you want this to be like action, yes, Star Wars like fits exactly at number two. There's nothing that makes more sense, but it's not an action movie.
All right, yeah, that makes
Like
sense.
the prototypical action movie. If I had to give a like an ideal action movie, would be Die Hard. It's not the best, but just the elements of an action movie. And when you think of an action movie, that might be the quintessential one, because there's no magic, there's no aliens like aliens going to Nakatomi Plaza or anything like that. Just like one guy and fighting a bunch of other humans. Simple as that.
All right, so I've seen a couple of the Star Wars movies. I've seen the I've seen A New Hope. I've seen The Empire Strikes Back. I've seen Revenge of the Sith. Those are okay movies. I was really trying to convince myself that I need to like this franchise. I wanted to like it, and it was okay. I like I don't I, Star Wars is okay. It's not my favorite thing, but it's okay. That's all I'm going to say about
So the
that.
thing I said about Indiana Jones sort of applies to this as well. I do think it's slightly overrated, but like just how big it was like a whole cultural thing, and it was like a giant hit and all those things. I feel yes, it's definitely an undisputed classic, one of the probably the best movie franchise, not the best, but the greatest movie franchise of all time,
Yeah.
and things of that. Greatest movie franchise, not action movie franchise, but just in the general broad category of movie franchises, yeah, it's up there, but it
Okay.
doesn't deserve to be on this list because of its style. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. So number one, I
Fast and
haven't
Furious.
actually seen this franchise,
You haven't
but
seen Fast and Furious?
listen, I was thinking it would be Fast and Furious. I wanted
But
it to be.
Fast and Furious not on the list?
I know. Okay, but here's the number one franchise is John Wick. Now I want to know,
Like,
have you
take this
seen it?
whack list out of here. How is Fast and Furious not on the list?
Okay, yeah, I like Fast and Furious as well, but have
But yeah,
you?
like I thought it was, I had Fast and Furious in top three. It might have been like a challenger for number one.
Yeah, listen, you don't have to convince me about it. Just tell me, have you seen John Wick?
No.
You have not. Okay, well, it has Keanu Reeves in it, which I'm sure is good. I mean, his acting in The Matrix was good. And I was really hoping Fast and Furious would be on um, the top one at least, or at least the top 10 list, but it's not. So, but if they
Okay.
say,
So
um,
John Wick, I can't provide commentary on it, but like, I don't know. I don't I haven't seen it, and I really doubt it would be number one. But even if it like, I think I think independent of this thing, I feel it just has to be kept. Like, you have to keep Fast and Furious in the thing.
yeah, so
Like not
yeah,
even like
let's
a
move
mention
on
is
to that. What
Fast and
movies we
Furious.
think should have made the list? Yeah, so
Fast and Furious.
obviously the Fast and the Furious. My favorites out of the whole eight movies were definitely two, five, and seven. I thought they were
Seven
the
was the
best.
best.
Seven was the best, but two and five were also pretty
Seven
good.
might be my favorite movie of all time.
Of all time, yeah,
Yeah,
I
English
can't say
movie.
the same, but it's a really good
English
movie.
movie.
Yeah. I did not like eight, though. I did not like eight at all.
I
Way
feel
too,
eight was a little unrealistic, and that was way too emotional.
way too emo. That's exactly what I was saying, my man.
It was sort of like Avengers Endgame, where all they did were for the first 2 hours just cry, "Oh, he beat us. What are we gonna
Yeah.
do? We failed." All that, and then they finally decided, "Okay, we're gonna do something."
Yeah, it wasn't fast cars and races and everything. It was just way too emotional.
That
Man,
was
man.
no, like as the thing progressed, it really didn't wasn't races. Like if you look at the seventh one, the mission for the seventh one was so awesome. The whole way
Yeah.
it like the whole way it progressed. Like seven had the right balance of emotion, like in the beginning when Han died and all that stuff, and then it wasn't as it had a lot of action, and it had so many great scenes, like, and like all the iconic scenes I can recall from that. So there was the one where they're in, like, Turkmenistan or something like that, and there they were trying to, like, hijack the bus thing.
The bus,
And
yeah.
there was the Dubai scene, Abu Dhabi scene, sorry, when they, like, drive through
Jumping
the,
between two buildings.
yeah, the towers. That was
Amazing.
insane. There was the Los Angeles, like, hot potato scene, and yeah, there's just a lot in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So besides Fast and Furious, there's two franchises that I really like and I thought should have made the list. Number one, Rush Hour, with with the martial arts of Jackie Chan and the humor from Chris Tucker. There is no better duo. Rush Hour should have made the list. All three movies
I've
were
never
good.
seen that, so
You've never seen Rush Hour. Oh
nope.
my. It is amazing. It's funny, there's martial arts. It's a perfect it's there's three films and they're all three are good. And besides
Maybe I'll watch
Rush
it
yeah,
when I get some time.
besides Rush Hour, I also thought Men in Black could have made the top
Oh
10.
yeah, but I know, but I actually, Men in Black is like a real, like, on the line type thing.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe
it
like
had
10
aliens
or
and that
11.
sort of
Yeah.
stuff, but it still sort of was an action movie. So I don't know if you,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know
Okay.
if you say it counts. Again, yeah, it's on the line, I guess.
It is on the line.
Yeah,
You have any more to add?
no, not really.
You do not.
I guess, yeah, Men in Black. If you classify that as an action movie, then yes. Otherwise, no.
Out of the three, which one did you like the best?
The final one.
The final one was good. I think it's one, three, then two. Or maybe three, one, and two. I didn't. Two was okay. One and three were definitely better.
Yeah, I have to. I just think three was the best. I know other people might not agree, but it's just my preference.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Then that is going to wrap up this week's episode of the 2 Point Turn. Thank you for tuning in and keep smiling.